Welcome to another episode of 17 Minutes with South. ECR All Talk Radio. Hello, this is 17 South, 17 Minutes with South. Special guest tonight, none other than the one, the only, the Prez, Mr. Johnny B. Mr. Johnny B, how you doing tonight?
Hey, thanks for inviting me, 17. Doing real good. How about yourself?
Doing great. Couldn't be better. Johnny B, you are the cup driver of the 48 Chevrolet. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Good stuff. Now, Johnny B.
Fortunately, I think I'm losing my low. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nah, I just interrupt you there. Go ahead, Johnny B. Go ahead.
I think I'm losing my low sponsorship. Going to a new one next year, Ally. So we'll see how that turns out.
Well, Johnny, with your performance, I'm pretty sure you're going to be quite all right. Speaking of performance, Johnny, your last Cup win was the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte, 2017. It's been almost 2 years ago. As far as your Cup win and your performance in the Cup Series, how do you feel you're tackling what's going on and what's been presented to you?
Well, to tell you the truth, there's a lot of young guns, young lions in ECR nowadays. Real fast race cars. Seems like the new guys that are coming into the league are real serious about driving, so they're making it real difficult for the rest of the older guys.
As far as practice, you're always seeing them on, and it's almost as if they're together as far as their practices. How's your season going so far this year? We're 5 races in. Our last race was Martinsville. Obviously, the first one was Daytona. As far as your 5-race stint, how would you rank yourself among the other drivers at ECR?
To be honest, I'm going to have to go with mid-pack at best. I don't think got the packages to come up with them leaders yet. Maybe towards the middle of the season we'll get our stuff together, but right now I think I'm about mid-pack.
Johnny B, always the humble guy there. I think you've had a pretty good run here and there, Johnny. Would you agree that there has been some shortfalls on maybe cautions coming out at the wrong time? Pit road, getting in and off pit road. I know for a fact that Atlanta was very demanding as far as getting on pit road. How would you feel about that?
Oh, yeah, it was extremely difficult. You had to hit it just right, or you were going around. It seemed like you were going there on ice skating rink.
Now,
that was a tough way to get into the pits.
There's some hard tracks to get into pit road. Most of the tracks are not very hard to get off, but getting in the pit road, as far as Atlanta, I would rank it up there with Dover and possibly even Richmond. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Last night's race was real difficult getting in. Pit road is real short there, Martinsville. I had a tough time actually. I had a tough time all around that race. Couldn't get the car dialed in. But sometimes she was too free, others she was too tight. Just couldn't get it right. Couldn't get it right.
So as far as balancing on the setup, it was never in your wheelhouse as far as where you wanted to put it.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of the 48, in your career with ECR, what would you say as far as how many years do you have left with ECR and how long?
Well, I'll probably drive the 48 till I retire. I'm hoping that the next rules package for next season helps me out a little more than this season. Seems like they're giving us our spoilers back, so should help with a little downforce. Not be so, loose on all these tracks. We'll see how the, next one is, and then decent with that one. Maybe I'll continue. Not, maybe you'll see me up in a booth.
Well, it looks like the booth is where some of the major talent is going to head for ECR as far as we're still working out some contracts and kinks. Now, Johnny, speaking of wins, is there one track in particular that you're looking forward to that has got you really hyped up and you can't wait to get there? Maybe a Daytona, maybe a Richmond, or
Actually, 17, I want to try to redeem myself from 2017. I predict my first win this year is a Coca-Cola 600.
that's also one of the longest races on the schedule.
Yes, very demanding physically, mentally. On the ball the whole track, so I think I got a good shot there.
Well,
Just have to wait and see.
the one thing that also makes that race a little bit unique that a lot of people don't look at is there's one extra stage inside that race. I mean, it's not just 2 stages, it's actually 3 stages. So you got 3 stages, then the final. So not only are you able to make up more points, but it shows with an extra full stage how demanding and how much longer that race really is. Now, Johnny, we're going to
It's been a while since
take a little bit
I
of
won
a
there, so I'm looking forward to
we're going to take a little commercial break
racing that
here,
this year.
and we'll come back right after these messages.
Hello, welcome to 17 Minutes with Sal. Elite Cup Racing, All Talk Radio.
We're still working out some contracts and kinks. Now, Johnny, speaking of wins, is there one track in particular that you're looking forward to that has got you really hyped up and you can't wait to get there? Maybe a Daytona, maybe a Richmond, or
Actually, 17, I want to try to redeem myself from 2017. I predict my first win this year is a Coca-Cola 600.
that's also one of the longest races on the schedule.
Yes, very demanding physically, mentally. On the ball the whole track, so I think I got a good shot there.
Well,
Just have to wait and see.
the one thing that also makes that race a little bit unique that a lot of people don't look at is there's one extra stage inside that race. I mean, it's not just 2 stages, it's actually 3 stages. So you got 3 stages, then the final. So not only are you able to make up more points, but it shows with an extra full stage how demanding and how much longer that race really is. Now, Johnny, we're going to
It's been a while since
take a little bit
I
of
won
a
there, so I'm looking forward to
we're going to take a little commercial break
racing that
here,
this year.
and we'll come back right after these messages. Welcome back with 17 Minutes with Sal, a special guest, Johnny B. Johnny B, if you would.
Hello, guys.
We're just sitting here talking with Johnny B, going over his career, his future, and where he's at right now. Now, Johnny B, speaking of ECR, you're not only the Prez, you were also a champion of ECR. You were the champion of the 4th year of ECR. Now, speaking of not only the Prez, also a champion's perspective, how do you feel about the future of ECR and where it's at now?
Where we started 10 years ago to where we are today is nothing short of phenomenal. In the Facebook, the Twitter. It's just blowing up. We got some really, really good talent in this league. I'm glad the caliber of drivers we have are in our league and not someone else's.
Now, speaking of caliber, week in and week out, you're racing, like you said, with some of the best guys, not only in ECR, but also in the game perspective. Is there one guy that you could really, if you could just finish, right there ahead of as far as one of the races, is there one guy you can name off the top of your head that if you could just pass him for the lead, for the win, who would it be?
Funny you should mention that. There's actually a couple of them. But I'd really like to get on unworn. That's what I'd like to pass for the win. Unworn.
Is there a little bit of a rival there, or just unworn? I've raced with unworn a couple times, and he's definitely a competitive soul. With that said, I mean, is there a little bit of a rivalry going on there, or just somebody you love and enjoy racing with?
Yeah, exactly. Second, the latter. I love racing with the guy. I think he's a great guy, and I always have fun when I'm in the room with him. And I just wanna beat his ass in one of these races.
I'm sure he would enjoy that as well. Now, Unworn's already got a win this year. He's got a pole. He's got a fastest lap. Unworn's really stacking up his numbers as far as being one of those guys you're going to have to pass at Miami to get that championship. And he's only looking better as the season goes on as far as what I can see with practice and stuff like that. Now, Johnny, with that said,
definitely, he's going to be a contender.
Now, talking about wins and whatnot, there's also the other side of that, the complete 180, and it's what we call the loss, where you had the race in your hand and it just slipped away. Is there one race that that you kind of think of and remember every time we go back there? This brings up something in your memory bank. Is there one race that just got away from you?
Years ago. Yeah, it was years ago. It was at Pocono. Had a really good car and was coming down to the wire, and I made a mistake. He took advantage, and I lost it, and he won. I think it was coming out of turn 4, turn 3, or what the hell you want to call that last turn, but it was that turn, and he made it better than I did and come up from underneath and got me.
Yeah, you're kind of like me. I only count 3 turns at Pocono. Now, with that said, is there one race win that sticks out more than the others?
There's actually, one isn't actually a win. I should have won it, but I didn't. So I'll put that one down first, because I don't think I'll ever forget this. It was early on in ECR. We were at Talladega. No, I take that back. Daytona. Last lap, coming out of 4. I'm in the lead, on the bottom. Crazy Alex tries to take me on the high side coming off of 4. I don't know if I pushed and he came down or whose fault it was. Back then we didn't tape the races, so we weren't sure. But we ended up spinning out, obviously, and I ended up going in the right direction towards the stripe, and he was facing the opposite direction. So the stripe would be in his back window. So I'm shifting like a maniac, right? I got to get to the line before he does. And he's probably thinking the same thing. I got to shift like an idiot, get past this line before he does. So I start, he starts. I'm going 1, 2, 3, and he's looking at me coming, and he's saying, what am I going to do? I can't. By the time I turn his car around and get it facing the right direction, he's going to pass me, and I'm going to lose. So what he does, he puts it in reverse and drives across the stripe in first and wins the race.
So, you're saying he crossed the finish line on the last lap in reverse?
Has it taken me on the high side coming off of 4? I don't know if I pushed and he came down or whose fault it was. Back then we didn't tape the races, so we weren't sure. But we ended up spinning out, obviously, and I ended up going in the right direction towards the stripe, and he was facing the opposite direction. So the stripe would be in his back window. So I'm shifting like a maniac, right? I got to get to the line before he does. And he's probably thinking the same thing. I got to shift like an idiot, get past this line before he does. So I start, he starts. I'm going 1, 2, 3, and he's looking at me coming, and he's saying, what am I going to do? I can't. By the time I turn his car around and get it facing the right direction, he's going to pass me, and I'm going to lose. So what he does, he puts it in reverse and drives across the stripe in first and wins the race.
So, you're saying he crossed...
Damn it, man. I am on fire.
What are you talking about? You're on fire.
Well, I'm the fucking best.
Best at what?
The best at fucking ECR Madden League 2 times a week. Come on.
Oh man, I've got to get involved. How do I do that?
ECR Madden League on Facebook. Let's do it.
I'm going to get in and I'm going to put your fire completely out.
Well, let's do it, man. Come on.
in a rising star?
For a while there, I was looking at Kane. I thought Kane had some potential, but he fell off. So I'm not sure. He was the guy I was looking at to, come towards the front towards the end of the year.
Well, Kane's fast. It's just his consistency of showing up for the races. Unfortunately, it's just not there. I know Kane's hearing this. Kane, we love you to death. Definitely a
I
great...
had, a couple other ones in mind. Hunter Falcon.
He's definitely improved.
Some of the kids. A contact, but he's off and on. But he might have some possibilities.
Now, what all this said, Johnny, is there anything that you would like to see progress in ECR? Is there anything that's kind of like getting on your nerves with ECR? Anything you want to speak up and kind of tell ECR about and say, hey, look, you guys, we got to fix this or that or the other?
All I can say to the drivers, this goes out to me, to all the drivers, including myself. Turn 1, bottom lane, inside lane. You guys on the top, you got plenty of track to get us off that white line. Please, I'm begging you, in these races, give the guy on the bottom, whoever it may be, room enough to make it through 1 and don't push him under that line. Once you do, well, 2 things are going to happen. This happened to me numerous times. As soon as that happened, going into 1, I was probably in the lead at one of these races. And the second place guy was above me. Pushed me a little too low, got my lefts underneath. And I took a complete left-hand turn. The field was gone. I went from first to last. Because you didn't give me enough room on turn 1. So that's all I can say. Let's work on that. Let's give that bottom row some room going into 1. And these races will be much better.
Okay, Johnny, we're gonna wrap it up here. Who would you like to see on the next podcast? Is there one guy you would like to call out for the next podcast?
Actually, I would. He came up in a conversation earlier. My friend and yours, Unworn.
Ooh, Unworn. We'll go ahead and reach out to his agents and get him lined up for the next podcast. Warren, your schedule for our next 17 Minutes with South podcast. Johnny, it was a pleasure having you on the show tonight. Anything you would like to add?
Well, thank you. I think you're doing a great job. 17, this is pretty cool.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. And guys, that's another episode with 17 Minutes with South, featuring this time Johnny B. Kill us out, Johnny B.
Good night, fellas.
Hi, I'm 17 South.
And I'm Johnny B. the Prez.
Together known as Elite Cup Racing.
10 years long, 10 years strong. Racing League.
Better known as a family.
So come on, join our family at 8:45 Eastern, Saturday night, every Saturday night.